Hello everybody, I'm Rick Chambers, and it's my pleasure to lead you on Professorate.com's journey in search of quaint villages around the globe. Before we get started though, I'd like to offer a little context so we're all on the same page. Let's face it, quaint isn't what it used to be. In the old days, it was considered normal to tour colorful and exotic places and snap pictures of colorful and exotic inhabitants as though they were inmates in some sort of a zoo. Those were the days before the third world was rechristened developing, and America had the fastest and the newest and the best of everything. That was before. These days, it wouldn't be at all surprising for a resident of super high-tech Dubai, for example, to tour a typical American airport, LAX for example, to see what life is like in the quaint and backward regions of the world. As I said, quaint isn't what it used to be. Back in the day, quaint was a concept that made sense when we thought of ourselves, and justifiably so, as number one. Now that a 100-story apartment building is under construction in Bombay, we've kind of got to be careful about the words we choose. As Nietzsche wrote once, be careful when you look into the abyss, for the abyss is looking into you. Quaint as a term is sort of associated with a slightly superior attitude, like, honey, look at those people living in those adobe cottages. Isn't that quaint? At Professorate.com, we're going to try to move past that notion, which, if you think of it, really is pretty quaint itself in this trendy and gentrified, redeveloped high-tech world of ours. And yet, when it comes right down to it, even the hippest of the hip, after they've grown tired of those W hotels in every city, they still crave quaintness, which I guess has a hazy meaning for most of us, but generally it refers to charming, old-fashioned, quiet, and slow. Happily, places like that still exist, though perhaps fewer can really be found in their original state. These days, any nice piece of landscape has already been chopped up and turned into real estate and has been photographed and labeled and reprocessed and turned into a tourist destination. As the song by the Eagles puts it, call something paradise, kiss it goodbye. So not every place on this list exists as one might imagine it does in some ideal past. But maybe even this ideal past has always been in some way a myth. When Gauguin got to Tahiti, he already found it spoiled. Still, in the old days, quaint was part of a whole picture, a culture that hadn't been watered down by international travel. Folks who ate slow food based on the ingredients that they grew themselves. Families who had lived in the same place for generations and dressed in traditional costumes. Village festivals. Authenticity. These days, places like that have mostly been sold, rehabbed, and upgraded into vacation properties or weekend destinations. Quaint has become a brand, really, and brands, by definition, just aren't quaint. And the local folks, well, they're either non-union workers acting the part, or, this is the astonishing part actually, even in villages in Switzerland, there are kids wearing baggies that sag as they dance to Lil Wayne. But please, let's not give up. Let's agree that places that vaguely resemble the set of The Shire and The Lord of the Rings still exist somewhere out there in some form, even if they're only the visual replicas of a long-gone world. And if you're looking for those types of places, you've come to the right place, because Professorate.com has found them for you. In the end, that's a happy fact too, because when it comes to quaint, somewhere in the recesses of our minds, it just feels like home. For Professorate.com, I'm Rick Chambers.